What if the most profound secret to human health wasn't a secret at all? What if it was right in front of us, hidden in plain sight, woven into the oldest stories humanity has ever told? At the very beginning of our oldest text, there's a whisper about a tree. Not just any tree, but a source of life itself. Now, we think we know this story. Adam, Eve, a serpent, a forbidden fruit, a tale of disobedience, temptation, and paradise lost. But what if we've been looking at the wrong tree? What if the real story isn't about the knowledge that was taken, but about the life that was lost? Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you'll see the tree of life not as myth, not as metaphor, but as a forgotten blueprint for our well-being, physical, mental, and spiritual. Let's begin at the source, the Garden of Eden. Genesis describes not one, but two central trees, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. One tree brought a dramatic shift in human consciousness. The other, it was sealed away. Genesis 3:22 gives us this chilling moment. The man has now become like one of us, knowing good and evil. He must not be allowed to take from the tree of life and eat and live forever. And so a cherubim and a flaming sword were stationed to guard the way. Now let's pause here. Why would God quarantine humanity from this tree? Was it punishment or was it protection? More importantly, what exactly was this life we were cut off from? Was it simply endless years on a calendar? Or was it a state of health so perfect that decay, disease, and death had no power? Because here's where the story echoes into our own time. Think about it. We live in an age obsessed with health. We spend trillions every year on supplements, superfoods, pharmaceuticals, fitness tech, all chasing the promise of longevity, maybe even immortality. Yet, despite all that, chronic illness, cancer, autoimmune disease, anxiety, and depression are at historic highs. It's almost as if we're trying to solve a puzzle while missing a key piece. Could that missing piece be the forgotten concept of the tree of life? Here's the thing, the story doesn't end in Genesis. The tree of life reappears, not in the past, but in the future. Revelation 22 gives us a vision of restored creation, the New Jerusalem, a river flowing from the throne of God. And on each side of the river, the tree of life. This time, it's not hidden. It's not forbidden. It's abundant. It bears 12 fruits, one for every month of the year, and its leaves for the healing of the nations. Think about that imagery. This isn't scarcity. This is overflow. This is restoration. So here's the question. Why does the Bible begin and end with the tree of life? Why is this symbol bookending the entire narrative of human history? And here's where it gets more fascinating. The tree of life isn't unique to the Bible. The Norse mythologies spoke of Yggdrasil, the cosmic tree that connects heaven and earth. In Mesopotamia, sacred tree carvings appear across their temples. In Chinese tradition, the peach tree of immortality ripens once every 3,000 years. Even the Mayans spoke of a central world tree, the yakshe. Cultures separated by thousands of miles all remembered a sacred tree, a source of vitality, a bridge between realms. Coincidence or a collective memory of something lost? Let's shift gears. If the tree of life was real, not just a symbol, what could its fruit have been? Modern science is revealing something incredible. Plants contain molecules that aren't just calories or vitamins. They are signals. They talk to our DNA. Antioxidants, polyphenols, flavonoids, phytochemicals. These compounds repair cellular damage, calm inflammation, and protect our telomeres, the protective caps on DNA directly tied to aging. Now imagine a fruit designed by God Himself, the ultimate nutrigenomic blueprint. Every bite actively repairing, restoring, and sustaining life. the perfect fuel for human longevity. It's not far-fetched. We already see glimpses in what scientists call blue zones, places like Okinawa in Japan or Sardinia in Italy, where people live extraordinarily long lives. What's their common thread? Plant-rich diets, strong community, lower stress, purpose-driven living. Sound familiar? Like echoes of the tree of life scattered across the earth. But then the Bible takes a surprising turn, because it doesn't just describe the tree of life in physical terms, it also redefines it entirely. Proverbs 3:18 says, "She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her." Here, the tree of life isn't something you eat, it's something you become, a state of being you step into through wisdom. Now, why would the same symbol be used for both, for fruit and for wisdom? Maybe because true health isn't just biological, it's also psychological, it's also spiritual. And science is starting to catch up. There's an entire field called psychoneuroimmunology. It studies how the mind, nervous system, and immune system are all deeply linked. We now have hard data showing that practices like meditation, prayer, gratitude, forgiveness, even loving kindness exercises dramatically reduce cortisol, lower blood pressure, balance immunity, and literally switch off inflammatory genes. In other words, wisdom heals, not just metaphorically, literally. So maybe Proverbs wasn't using poetry. Maybe it was describing biological reality thousands of years before science caught on. So let's step back and synthesize. The tree of life has two dimensions: the physical, perfect nourishment that sustains biological life, and the spiritual, wisdom and connection that sustain inner life. And maybe the tragedy of Eden wasn't just losing access to fruit, it was the birth of separation. Think about it. The knowledge of good and evil awakened the ego, judgment, comparison, fear, shame. Psychologically, that's the birthplace of chronic stress. Biologically, stress is inflammation, and inflammation is the root of nearly every modern disease. The tree of life, then, represents its opposite: connection, trust, unity, peace, a state where the body's healing intelligence flows freely. That's why Revelation doesn't show one tree, but many, a forest lining both sides of the river. Its leaves for the healing of nations. It's not scarcity, it's abundance. It's not hidden, but overflowing. The tree of life isn't a lost object to be found. It's a lost connection to be restored. So what does this mean for you and me? Today, it means the pursuit of true health isn't a choice between science and spirit. It's both. It's nourishing our bodies with life-giving foods, fruits, vegetables, herbs, spices, modern echoes of the original design. It's nourishing our souls with wisdom practices, gratitude, prayer, forgiveness, community that heal from the inside out. And it means recognizing that health isn't just the absence of disease, it's wholeness, it's alignment, it's connection within ourselves, with each other, and with God. And maybe that's the invitation. The ancient promise of the tree of life still stands, not in some faraway garden, but right here, right now, waiting for us to step into it. So I want to ask you, do you see the tree of life as a literal reality, a spiritual metaphor, or maybe both at once? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just my exploration, it's ours. And if this resonated with you, you'll want to watch what's next. We're diving into one of the most practical wisdom practices, forgiveness. It doesn't just heal relationships, it rewires your brain, lowers inflammation, and can literally extend your life. So subscribe, hit the notification bell, and join me for that.